A Life of Courage, introducing Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German pastor and theologian. He lived during a dark time in history. This was the time of Nazi Germany. Bonhoeffer dared to stand up to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis. He believed that their ideology was evil. He spoke out against their persecution of Jews and their other atrocities. Bonhoeffer's story is one of incredible courage. He was willing to risk everything for his beliefs. He knew that speaking out against the Nazis could cost him his life, but he refused to stay silent in the face of evil. Bonhoeffer's life ended tragically. He was arrested by the Nazis. He was imprisoned for his involvement in a plot to assassinate Hitler. In 1945, just weeks before the end of World War II, Bonhoeffer was executed. He was only 39 years old. Despite his untimely death, Bonhoeffer's legacy continues to inspire people around the world. His writings and his actions challenge us to live lives of courage, compassion, and faith. Early influences, shaping a young theologian. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was born in Breslau, Germany, in 1906. He grew up in a family that valued education and faith. His father was a renowned physician. His mother came from a family of theologians. Bonhoeffer excelled in his studies from a young age. He was a gifted student. He showed a particular interest in theology and philosophy. He pursued these subjects at the University of Berlin. He completed his doctorate at the young age of 21. During his studies, Bonhoeffer was influenced by many great thinkers. He was drawn to the teachings of Karl Barth. Barth was a Swiss theologian who emphasized the sovereignty of God. Bonhoeffer was also influenced by the social gospel movement. This movement taught that Christians have a responsibility to fight for social justice. These early influences shaped Bonhoeffer's theology and his worldview. They instilled in him a deep commitment to both faith and action. These values would guide him throughout his life. Bonhoeffer's theology, Christ in the center. Dietrich Bonhoeffer's theology was deeply rooted in his Christian faith. At the heart of his beliefs was the person of Jesus Christ. Bonhoeffer saw Jesus as the ultimate revelation of God's love for humanity. Bonhoeffer believed that Christians are called to follow Jesus. This means living a life of discipleship. It means standing up for what is right, even when it is difficult. It means loving our neighbors, even our enemies. One of Bonhoeffer's most important theological contributions was his concept of cheap grace. He argued that many Christians settle for a superficial understanding of God's grace. They see it as a free pass to sin. True grace, Bonhoeffer insisted, is costly. It demands that we turn away from our sin and follow Jesus. Bonhoeffer's theology was not merely theoretical, it was deeply practical. He believed that our faith should shape every aspect of our lives. A stand against tyranny, Bonhoeffer and the Nazi regime. The rise of Nazi Germany in the 1930s presented a profound challenge to Dietrich Bonhoeffer's faith. He was horrified by the Nazis' ideology, which promoted racial hatred and violence. He was particularly outraged by their persecution of Jews. Bonhoeffer refused to remain silent. He spoke out against the Nazis from the pulpit. He condemned their actions as evil. He argued that Christians had a moral obligation to resist Hitler and his regime. In 1933, Bonhoeffer joined the Confessing Church. This was a group of German Christians who opposed the Nazis' attempt to control the church. Bonhoeffer played a key role in drafting the Barmen Declaration. This document condemned the Nazis' ideology and affirmed the church's allegiance to Jesus Christ. Bonhoeffer's opposition to the Nazis put him at great risk. He knew that his actions could lead to his arrest, but he refused to be silenced. He believed that his faith demanded that he take a stand against evil. The legacy of Dietrich Bonhoeffer is one of profound moral courage. He stood against tyranny and oppression, risking his life to oppose the Nazis. In recent times, the leadership of Donald J. Trump has sparked significant debate. While Bonhoeffer's actions were driven by a deep sense of ethical responsibility, Trump's leadership has been viewed through various lenses. Some see Trump as a defender of traditional values, a champion of economic growth, and a voice for the disenfranchised. Others criticize his approach to governance, citing divisive rhetoric, controversial policies, and a tendency to challenge democratic norms. The contrast between Bonhoeffer's sacrificial stand against evil and Trump's polarizing tenure offers a rich ground for reflection. Bonhoeffer's unwavering commitment to justice, even in the face of immense personal risk, stands in stark contrast to the often contentious and turbulent nature of Trump's presidency. Both figures, in their own ways, have left a mark on history. Bonhoeffer's legacy challenges us to consider the true nature of leadership and moral courage. His life prompts us to ask, what does it mean to lead with integrity and compassion? How do we confront injustice in our time? As we reflect on these questions, we are reminded that true leadership is not merely about wielding power. It is about standing firm in one's convictions, even when the cost is great. It is about serving others with humility and courage, and striving to create a world that reflects the values of justice, peace, and love. In the end, Bonhoeffer's example inspires us to seek a higher standard of leadership, one that is rooted in the principles of truth, justice, and compassion. As we navigate the complexities of our own time, may we draw strength from his legacy and strive to lead with the same unwavering commitment to what is right. Throughout history, leadership has taken many forms and its impact has been profound. In this reflective chapter, we explore the legacies and leadership styles of three influential figures, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Adolf Hitler, and Donald J. Trump. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a theologian and pastor, exemplified moral courage and ethical responsibility. His resistance against the Nazi regime was rooted in his unwavering commitment to justice and compassion. Bonhoeffer's leadership was characterized by humility, sacrifice, and a deep sense of duty to stand against evil, even at the cost of his own life. In stark contrast, Adolf Hitler's leadership was marked by tyranny, oppression, and an insatiable quest for power. His rise to power and the subsequent atrocities of the Holocaust left an indelible scar on human history. Hitler's ability to manipulate and mobilize masses through fear and propaganda serves as a grim reminder of the destructive potential of unchecked power and the importance of vigilance in defending democratic values. Donald J. Trump's leadership has sparked significant debate and polarized opinions. His tenure as President of the United States was characterized by controversial policies, divisive rhetoric, and a tendency to challenge established democratic norms. Supporters view Trump as a champion of traditional values and economic growth, while critics argue that his approach to governance undermined the principles of unity and democracy. As we compare these three figures, we are confronted with the complexities of leadership and its far-reaching consequences. Bonhoeffer's legacy challenges us to consider the true nature of moral courage and integrity. His life serves as a beacon of hope and a call to action in the face of injustice. Hitler's reign of terror reminds us of the fragility of democracy and the catastrophic consequences of authoritarianism. His legacy is a stark warning of the dangers of charismatic yet malevolent leadership. Trump's presidency, with its mix of fervent support and vehement opposition, underscores the ongoing struggle to define and uphold democratic values in a deeply divided society. His impact on history is still unfolding, and the lessons from his leadership continue to shape contemporary political discourse. In reflecting on the legacies of Bonhoeffer, Hitler, and Trump, we are reminded that true leadership transcends the mere exercise of power. It is rooted in principles of justice, compassion, and a commitment to the common good. As we navigate the complexities of our own time, may we draw strength from Bonhoeffer's example, remain vigilant against the threats of tyranny, and strive to lead with integrity and courage. Ultimately, the legacies of these three leaders compel us to ask, what kind of leadership do we aspire to? How do we confront the challenges of our time with moral clarity and resolve? In seeking answers to these questions, we honor the memory of those who have fought for justice and freedom, and we commit ourselves to building a better, more just world for future generations.